Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, March 20th, 2024 at time of speaking. This is the disclaimer for the September 12th, 2023 episode of Sleeper Suplex. A little late, but that never hurt anybody. I like to keep the anticipation rolling. Apparently it's good for the blood. I don't know if I believe that, but I also believe that coffee is good for your gut. So take it as you will. As always, just a disclaimer that this is a music podcast about music where we listen to music and discuss music. We cannot play this music for you, but each song discussed will be listed in the description as well as put in order in the Sleeper Suplex playlist on Spotify. God damn, that is a tongue twister. Did that count as a curse? I think I just cursed. I don't know if that's a issue. I know you're not supposed to do that in the first 15 seconds of a YouTube video or whatever, but fuck it.
Sleeper Suplex! Hello, ladies and germs. Coming at you live from inside the mouth of a giant whale. This is the sophomore... soundboards this time. This is the sophomore slump. You really feel at home here, don't you? You got another one? This is... this is the sophomore slump of Sleeper Suplex. I am your co-host, Kobe.
I am audio engineer George, co-host second.
All right.
That's out of order, but they know what I meant. You guys know what I meant. We're chilling. We're boys. You guys can, you know me by now.
This is the scuffed episode, if you couldn't tell.
Scuffed episode.
Scuffed episode.
What does that mean? Define scuffed.
Disorganized.
Oh,
disorderly.
Really?
Yeah. Drunk and disorderly. Not drunk. We're not drunk.
I sound drunk.
You do sound
based on how I came in there. I am not drunk. I'm caffeinated.
It's caffeinated.
Not drunk.
We're both highly caffeinated.
Yes.
How was your week, my friend George?
It was good. It was good. I'm trying to think of notable things I experienced here. I'm waiting for Mortal Kombat. 2 days.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Mortal Kombat on the air yet, which is shocking because we've talked about it before, both recording sessions.
I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. It was the first video game I ever played.
Was it really?
When I was in kindergarten. My mom...
That's a great time for it.
Yeah. My mom, wonderful lady. This isn't a point against her. I'm actually very grateful she did this.
Shout out to her.
She sat me down and we played Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
Ooh.
On the PS1. My living room TV when I was in kindergarten. And I remember being a little kid and thinking, that's so fucking sick. And ever since then, I've been there for every single one.
Yeah.
And now we got a new one.
That's wow. That's so fascinating. I think I'm trying to remember the first game that I remember playing as a kid outside of the video games that my brother would sometimes let me play with him was a Tekken 3 cabinet.
Very similar.
The Tekken 3 arcade cabinet, which is why you're a big MK guy, and I think MK is cool, and I like it, but it's mostly just because I think it's fucking absurd. And yeah. I'm a big Tekken guy, and I think you feel the same about Tekken, where you think it's cool, but you're probably not super into Tekken.
So the weird thing about it for me was aesthetics. I mean, Mortal Kombat is arguably, I would say, I mean, I'm not the most ingrained in the fighting game genre, but I think
the FGC.
In a layman's knowledge,
yeah.
Mortal Kombat is the most loud.
It's the most Americanized. Easily the most Americanized.
Well, yes. But also, in terms of style, it's the loudest style. You know, when you put Tekken and Street Fighter side by side, they're different, but they have a similar feel to them. They're both technical focused fighting games, whereas Mortal Kombat is very much visual focused. It's not the most well-designed or competitive game, but it's gory and colorful, and there's ninjas and robots and shit.
That's the thing. The main difference, I would say, Mortal Kombat early and often continues to jump the shark.
Yes.
It has jumped so many sharks at this point that we're basically running out of room for them to get weirder. So they reset the universe to do weird shit all over.
But that's the appeal of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yes. That's the separation point, I think. Tekken and Street Fighter, as cool as they are, the weirdest thing about Street Fighter is the Heihachi Mishima family melodrama that's occurred over the past few games. I mean, although I will say the absurdity of an ageless man in the anime, they throw an axe at him and he catches it in his teeth and breaks it.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome clip.
Oh, that's so sick.
It's so sick. One day we will have the time to... I was thinking about this on the drive over here. I desperately want to one day have a podcast where I can talk to you openly about the absurdities of wrestling, because one of the things that we have not spoken about is the name of this podcast, Sleeper Suplex, is obviously a wrestling term. And I texted you about it, and it's been stuck in my head since the most recent God of War, because a counter that one of the I don't remember which enemy has it. A counter that it's a move where you're supposed to parry it. It's like one of those blue double rings. And if you don't parry it, what they do is they get Kratos in a sleeper hold and they suplex him from it. And it's so
They suplex Kratos.
They suplex Kratos if you don't parry it. It's fucking sick. I love a fucking sleeper suplex. It's so cool. And one day we will talk about the absurdities of wrestling. That, and we also need to do an episode devoted to Scream.
Yeah,
the Scream series.
We will do that.
That's going to be an October thing.
One way we could implement wrestling is we've made this comparison off air many a time, but I always equate wrestling to rap music, just in the way that, I mean, first of all, the two are basically related at this point. You know, they flirt with each other constantly. But the way that rappers jump on each other's songs and the way they get introduced and the way rap beefs go about and the way rap friendships spawn, it reminds me so much of that the storylines that you would see in wrestling. I mean, I'm convinced that, you know, just like wrestling, a lot of this stuff is scripted, like written behind the scenes. Like I wonder how many famous rap beefs were, you know, orchestrated by major labels for, like, the whole 50 Cent and Kanye thing. Like, that's a famous one that was obviously super marketed. But but I always find this, more than any other album, I like going in, or any other genre I should say, I like going into rap albums blind, without looking at the songs, without looking at the track list, because it's always a surprise to hear who mingles with who, keeping notes of, are these people infrequent collaborators? Are these people frequent collaborators? Who's going to come in at what time? I think some people, like some artists, lean into that. Like take like a Kanye, like we mentioned, or a Travis or something, who they even keep even Vince Staples has done this on occasion, where they keep features hidden, at least at first. And then like as you're listening, it's like, oh shit, is that SZA? Is that Kendrick?
Dude.
One song I've only heard once, and I had this experience with very recently. My Spotify AI DJ whipped this out for me, and I wasn't expecting it at all. Yeah. But this is a prime example of something like that, where you just hear these voices come in, and you're like, who are these people? What is this happening? Yeah, this is my first song of the week. This is Scientists and Engineers by Killer Mike.
Killer Mike.
It's off his new solo album, which I haven't listened to in full yet. But
that's a good segue. That's the first proper segue of the podcast. I think that was really good. When I tell you, speaking to take this wrestling motif a step further, when I was scrolling through the Genius as we were listening, just to make sure it was better for me to do it that way. And I'm reading it, and I'm listening to the Andre 3000 verse, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I love Andre so much. And then I was scrolling, and I started laughing when he got to the Duke Ellington and this bitch part, because I saw under verse 2 Future, and I went, oh, here we go. Because not in a bad way. It's more that I was like, it was almost like the music hit in wrestling, where I was like, oh my God, here comes Stone Cold. It's like, oh my God, here comes Future. Here it comes.
Exactly. And that, like, I heard the song while I was driving the other day, and I didn't see whose song it was. I'd never heard this before. It was just audio for me. And I think this is I love Future and I love Andre 3000.
Right.
Two very different sounds.
Oh my God.
And I was excited to hear them on the same track. I mean, and they both do their thing. I mean, obviously one of them's a better lyricist and the other one's Andre 3000. But I think everyone plays their strengths. And I'm completely unfamiliar with Killer Mike. I mean, I've heard the stray verse here and there. I've heard a few Run the Jewels songs.
Oh, you'd love Run the Jewels.
I would.
You would love Run the Jewels.
My favorite thing in rap is when you take a weird fusion that pulls you in, and then they throw in a third part. And in this case, I'm talking from my experience. In this case, a third party came in and completely took me by surprise, because I'm already running with the adrenaline of the people that I'm familiar with.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing with, I hate how much I'm mentioning him today, but Kanye, Off the Grid.
It's 4 already, I think.
Like, you know, him and Playboy Cardi. I'm like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Playboy Cardi and Kanye. And then 5Yo Foreign comes in with that long ass verse. I'm like, I've never heard of this guy before, but he fucking kills it. And then I went and listened to his album and I didn't like it. But now I'll do the same thing with Killer Mike. I'm like, I had no idea. I mean, it's his song, but I had no idea he was on it. he comes in, he impressed me. Crazy verse.
Yeah.
And now I'm on to Killer Mike. And
Yeah.
it's just this like constant domino effect
Yeah.
with these names and the way they just enter like that. And I love the little beat changes, the little switch ups that kind of announce their arrival. Like, so much fun. So hectic.
It's not the same thing, but that thing you're talking about where like you're listening to a song for the main artist and then you hear a verse and you're like, whoa, who the fuck was that? Like for me, and it's not necessarily the same thing, and we will start talking about the actual song itself. I was listening to this album by Mos Def called Black on Both Sides. Have you heard Black on Both Sides?
I've heard of it. I know it's a classic.
It's great. It's great. I mean, I haven't listened to it in a while, but it's great. There's a song on here that he has. I believe, I don't remember which one it is, which is annoying to me. It's Do It Now. There's a song that he has on it called Do It Now, and it's great. The whole record's great. I got to listen to it again. It's been a while. But I remember so distinctly Busta Rhymes is in the chorus, and where he's talking about, they do a back and forth, and there's one point where Mos Def goes, Busta Bus, and Busta Rhymes comes in. Busta Rhymes comes in, and he goes, and he says, what's up with it or something, but it's Busta Rhymes, so he says it weird, so he goes, oh, what a bois, or some shit. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? And then Busta has a verse, and I'm like, dude, this Busta Rhymes character might be one to look out for. He's like 55. But I'm like, this Busta Rhymes character might be next.
This young up-and-comer Busta Rhymes.
Hey, he might be next on the radio.
We should sponsor him.
Yeah, get him on the show. It's crazy. He'd do it. So, yeah, but this song, tell me about it. What do you like about it? What stuck out? Tell me about it.
I mean, everything about it is great.
Yeah.
Musically speaking.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, I think Andre kills it. You know,
of course.
He's a master of the syllable.
He's an underrated pick for top 5 of all time, by the way. He's an underrated.
Easily.
He's everyone's favorite dark horse to pick, but he's great.
Yeah, the only thing taking him out of my top 5 is just not enough.
It's fair.
Music.
It's feature work.
Yeah. I mean, he kills every feature I've ever heard him on. Don't get me wrong.
100%.
But I would love preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Love an album. But Killer Mike, like I said, I'm unfamiliar with a lot of his stuff, so this is one of few verses I know. But he keeps up with Andre.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with Andre.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the beat kind of explodes when Mike comes on, which kind of skews it in his favor. Like
So funny.
He's got more of a. That's another thing I love about rap is you can have all these guests, but then when the main guy comes on and he gives himself the most bombastic beat,
that's the same way I feel about No More Parties in LA.
Yeah,
because Kanye has a good verse and then Kendrick comes in and it's a Kendrick verse. So you're like, whoa, and then Kanye comes in and his verse, it's at least 2 minutes longer.
Oh yeah,
it's to the point that you're like, what was Kendrick saying on this song again?
Yeah, it's home field advantage,
it's
absolutely.
So funny.
But even despite the beat explosion there, Killer Mike, I think he keeps up with Andre. Like in terms of syllable, in terms of what he's talking about, he's got flow, he's got message, he's got everything you could want, and he does it in a really satisfying way. And even Future, I mean, look, he's on the hook. He has a little mini verse in the middle there, and it's Future. I love Future to death, I really do.
Yep.
He's transcended guilty pleasure for me. It finally clicked one day where I'm like, all right, he falls into his poppy bag sometimes, but I get it. I get his style. I know what he does, and I can appreciate it. And he does his thing on it. He does it.
Yep.
I love it when sometimes other rappers are used as cilantro on a dish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just sprinkle them in there.
Yeah.
Sprinkle them in. Future shouldn't work with 2 heavy lyricists like this, but he does. He does. He adds just the right amount of richness to it. He's the dark chocolate chips in this mint sundae. You know what I'm saying? But beyond musically, I think this is a perfect capsule of what we're talking about, where it's just you take these personalities and you shuffle them around. And you have these grand entrances. It's so much fun.
It is
so much fun.
That's one of my big takeaways is that, first of all, the first thing I note is the first voice that I hear before I can even pull up the Genius page. Sorry, I'm like moving my mic a whole bunch today. I'm so sorry. The first verse I hear is Andre. And the day that I don't have a smirk on my face when I hear an Andre 3000 verse is the day that I've died. I love Andre 3000. Like you said, I think a lot of his shit is feature work, which is tough because desperately all you want is an Andre solo record.
Yeah.
And then the counter argument to that is, why run the risk of ruining a perfect reputation?
Exactly.
Because what does this motherfucker do? He pops up on people's Twitters every now and again wearing not his Curious George, his fucking Where's Waldo glasses, a beanie, and some sick overalls. And he's sometimes
his Paddington outfit.
And he's sometimes just carrying a flute. He sometimes is just carrying a flute in like New York. He's just carrying it.
He's the fucking
He's the Pied Piper.
He's the Pied Piper.
He's the fucking Pied Piper.
He's the legendary Pokemon of the rap game. He just
fucking
shows up.
He just hangs around.
He's the Mew.
It's every year or year and a half, everyone's like, new Andre. Killer Mike, that bitch, got super drunk on a podcast, I think, and he was like, yeah. Andre's working on a record. And my dumb shit ass bought it to the point that I was so pissed at Killer Mike that I have not listened to a Run the Jewels record in 6 months. I'm still mad. I'm still bitter. But he comes in and you're stoked because it's like, oh, fuck, here comes Andre. And then the main thing that I take away from this, besides everyone's versus work, the beat is really, really great. I know, so like the beat is really great. Like what an opinion. But I'm listening to it, and the main takeaway on one listen is I like it. It's got a beat. I can dance to it. I dig it. And I love mainly that yes, Future, Andre 3000, and Killer Mike have pretty different styles, and yet none of them try to be someone they aren't. It's not Future being like, all right, I really got to write a verse here. It's like, no. It's a decent verse, but it's a Future verse, and that's fine. I'm not as big a Future guy as you. I've heard a couple songs. You have, I wouldn't say sworn by him, but you've certainly been a fan.
I will say he's a bloated catalog.
Yeah.
He's very 50-50.
Yeah.
I mean, the good shit hits, but there's a lot of radio stuff in there.
He's but I'm not as super well versed, but I'm like, it's a good Future verse. And then Killer Mike comes in and you're like, yeah, it's a great Killer Mike verse. I love it. I like that everyone sticks in and does their own thing. I love verses like that. I see why you're akinning it to wrestling. My favorite recent example of that, the last song on SZA's album has a fucking Old Dirty Bastard sample, which when that dropped, my first reaction was, how does that work?
How does it work?
I mean, it turns out they just like sampled old shit that he was using. But I mean, even still, I'm listening to it and I'm like, it's legitimately like The Undertaker. It's like, he got buried alive last week and here he is. It's Old Dirty Bastard, right? So I love shit like that. I like it when people collab and they're not trying to be anything they aren't. They're all just fitting onto the same track, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
All right.
You got a song for us?
I do. So my first track.
You got a replacement?
I don't have a great segue as George had, but I will say that this is a band that I have only come to appreciate more. Shout out No Dogs in Space again for their music podcast on this. Go listen to that one. This is a Minnesota-based alt-rock group from the 80s who did everything they could to get drunk and sabotage their own career. That was their whole thing. This is a B-side to their first single, which was released in 81. It's great. I love it. It's a song. Great intro. This is The Replacements, If Only You Were Lonely. Woo woo! Fucking Paul Westerberg! Let's go! All right.
I'm glad you're cheering because I was going to say very similar to the Wilco track from the Estranged demo episode.
The Estranged demo
reminds me of a live performance.
Yes, like, it's very sloppy.
I don't know. Is that?
It's very rough.
You would know more about music production than I would.
Maybe.
The echoey effect.
Yeah.
Is that intentional? Do you know that for a fact? Or is that just a result of low budget equipment?
So, to my understanding, this was a song that Paul Westerberg recorded on his own. And when they were talking about what they're going to put on the first record, he had this, or when they were talking about the first single and all that shit, he had been writing a bunch of songs. And one of the ones he wrote was If Only You Were Lonely. And he performed it. And he slipped it under their manager's door and like ran away. Like he was like, I don't want anyone hearing this, because this is more heartfelt shit, and drunk dudes from Minnesota just don't talk about, heartfelt shit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he probably recorded it drunk. You can kind of tell that he's a bit loaded.
Yeah.
Like he sounds like loaded. If I could guess, it was cleaned up. Certain things were brought out more. Based on the sound of it, if I had to guess, they added some minor reverb to the echoey shit, but I got to imagine they got him into an actual recording booth and recorded it. I got to imagine. I don't know that for sure, but my guess is it was a recording that he sent probably on some shitty cassette tape. He gave it to their manager at the time, whose name escapes me. It was it doesn't matter. Oh my God. Peter Jesperson, that was his name. They slipped it under his door, and he probably was like, "This is really good. We should release it as the B-side to their first single." And they cleaned it up. He might have re-recorded it, and they added a little bit of reverb. But what you hear is what you get. That was probably one take. You know what I mean? But that kind of segues in. One of my things I love about this song, it's heartfelt and you can feel it, and he's being funny, but he means what he's saying. And it's just that half step above drunk. You know what I mean? Where you almost feel intoxicated watching him perform. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's great. It's simple. It's catchy. It's fun. It sounds like he's making it up on the fucking spot. I love how raspy his voice is, where it sounds like when he goes up to hit a note, he's about to break, but then he catches it and he doesn't break. I love that shit. It's been stuck on my head for probably about a year. Just straight up every now and again, I'll be like, just like straight up, like taking a piss. Like, I love it. I love it. But yeah, no, it's very rough around the edges intentionally.
It amazes me how something with a certain style like that, which on paper and technically speaking isn't the highest quality we can achieve by a modern standard, how sometimes that is more infectious than otherwise. It's the same thing with a movie.
Yep.
Like a modern movie that's shot on film, a modern game that's made of pixels, like a modern sound or a modern song that sounds as though it were recorded with shitty mics from a dude who's under the influence of something.
Yeah.
Like on paper, that doesn't sound like a good musician making quality art. You know what I mean?
No.
But then you hear it.
Yeah. It just works.
Isn't it the weirdest thing? Like, I feel like if I were to make a song and I were to get drunk, if this guy was actually drunk, and record with a microphone of that quality in a space that echoey, I'd beat myself up over it. I'm such a perfectionist. I'd be like, oh, this is shite. No one's going to listen to this. But then hearing it from someone who, like, it's a vulnerable song. It's a vulnerable song of longing, but it's played and expressed with such confidence that it lures you into realizing that despite the environment within which it is recorded, it is a performance art piece of its own. It can stand up there with the overproduced, super rappy lyrical shit we just heard. It's crazy. I love stuff like that. I love it when technical, budgetary, quote unquote quality boundaries are broken. It's beautiful.
They play a lot with that idea of because that's not his best. He's a pretty good singer. I will say a lot of the reason that you listen to the Replacements is the lyrics and the instrumentation. He has a good voice, and it's another example of a band that I feel he is the perfect and only person who should ever be fronting it. You know what I mean? Because he just fits. It just fits. It makes sense. It's peanut butter and jelly. We don't know why the flavors work together objectively. Well, we do. But we just sort of sit there and we're like, these two things go together. It makes sense. This is that. They play a lot with that idea, though, the idea of, we're just know-nothings from Minnesota. We don't know shit about fuck. Like, they always bragged about how none of them have a driver's license and shit. Like, that's the sort of, like, energy they had, where they almost became successful in spite of themselves. There's many stories where they would go to, like, venues that were, like, country bars, because they sort of have, like, you can kind of hear it a little bit in this. They have a slight bit of twang to them, but they'd go to, like, country bars, and they'd play, like, hardcore punk music, like, fast shit. And then all the country people would leave. And then when it was just punk people left, they'd play bluegrass shit to piss off the punks. They were very, very confrontational and abrasive a lot of the time.
I like that.
But yeah, they speak a lot to the idea of, like, selling out and becoming more manageable. And they never wanted to be like that. And they talked a lot about being able to express yourself and do it freely. They believed in what I think you and I believe, which is creativity for creativity's sake. You don't need a reason to make a song. You should make it. You don't have a reason to sit in a room, sweaty, and make a podcast, but you should do it. That's what they really believed in. And I think that really just comes through so much on this song, because it is I will be the first to admit it, a horribly imperfect song. There's some deliveries where you literally cringe and you go, that's not the note that you should be hitting. He fucks up the guitar playing about 3 times.
Yeah.
About 3 times. And it's still fucking awesome. It's my thesis statement at the end here, and then we can move on. It's simple. It's sweet. It's a Replacements B-side, baby.
Perfect.
Go listen to the Replacements. Go listen to the Replacements. Awesome.
All right.
Number 2.
Our next track, our number 2, if you will. This is someone or someone's plural that I know nothing about. This is from an album I haven't heard. This is something with no information. And I kind of like it that way. I mean, I've heard a few more Stray songs from this man or group, and they've all been wonderful. But for some reason, this one just hit me at the right time, in the right place. And I kind of want to keep it as that sort of time capsule of that moment. Sure. Every time I hear it come up, I never skip it. It's always just a portal to this other sort of moody little weird dimension. And there's not much I can say about its formation. It just is. You know what I mean? Rather, it's what once was by hers. Kobe ruined it for me.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Tell the people what you did. Tell the people how you fucked up today.
I made a boo-boo. He said, and it'll regret me for the rest of my life until I go home and forget about it because it's not a big deal, but...
To you.
Yeah, my bad. He said, I don't want to know about this song. It has a mysterious vibe. I don't want to know anymore. And me, being the good time Charlie that I am, trying to share information because I'm highly caffeinated and very, very, very stupid when I'm highly caffeinated, said, yeah, the first thing that fans... what I said was, I really like this song, good pick. We muted our mics and I said, good pick. And he said, yeah, it's a great song. And I went, yeah, the first thing that a Hers fan would tell you is that they died in a bus crash. And he said, did they? And he looked so broken. And I'm so sorry that I did that to you.
This whole time, I mean, I looked at their Spotify discography and I saw they hadn't come out with music in a while. And I was thinking like, oh, it was a little one and done passion project, you know, a couple good boys with a couple good albums, and they you know, went out on top. They made some gold and they decided not to do any more digging. And now it's just death.
You make me feel worse about it.
I'm looking at this album cover, this little red liquid on these underwear, and I'm like, oh, that's probably their blood from the fucking car crash that they died in. Thanks, Kobe.
I'm sorry. It was one of those moments too where you pretty much summed it up, where you were like, prefacing it with a Hers fan would say doesn't mean you didn't say the thing, and you're right, and that's on me. The issue is that the meme with this band.
Oh, so their death is a meme.
No.
Go ahead.
Let me finish, because now you're trying to paint me as a villain.
I'm angry, Kobe.
I know, and you have every right to be, and I'm sorry.
There's only so much I can lash out across a podcast.
And I'm sorry. The meme with this band, the meme with this band is if you say in public, oh yeah, I love that one Her song, What Once Was. The meme is the first person who hears it and knows the song. In this case, I guess it was me, though I'm trying to make fun of those people, is them saying, well, you know, they died, right? And rest in peace to two horribly talented people, very young, really terribly tragic, genuinely. And I'm sorry that if it has come across on this broadcast that I am making light of that or anything like that, that is not my intent. I'm sorry if it comes off that way. I was pointing out the meme, assuming that my co-host knew about it.
Audio engineer.
And co-host knew about it. Knew about it. And as it turns out, he didn't, and I am now the clown, the idiot with the painted face, and I'm so sorry, and I'm so sorry that I opened my big stupid mouth, and I'm sorry, and I hope that you can take us back to what once was, and talk about why you like this song. Hopefully, he's laughing at me, so I know that he's not.
He stole my bit. I was gonna say, let's take it back to what once was.
Why do you like this song, George? I'm so sorry. Listener, I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm distracted now. You got me off my game. All right. Well, I was going to say, I'm very admirable of bands, people, poets, places, things that can take such a deep sense of nostalgia and longing and make art with it. Because every time I fall into one of those moods, I'm too sad to function. You know what I mean? Like when I hear the song, everything stops. I am simply being.
Yeah.
That's because those types of emotions are extremely powerful over me. I have a chokehold for nostalgia. And this song sounds nostalgic. Even that little like that, it sounds like a distant cry of a long lost pet that ran away, but you heard a dog in the woods and you think maybe that's Sparky, but you have no idea for sure. And just everything about it. It's nostalgic. It's beautiful. It reminds me of a simpler time of what once was, shall we? And it's like the fourth time we've made that fucking joke.
Jesus.
But I don't know. In terms of making a good groove out of a sad feeling or a desperate feeling, it's always impressive to me.
Yeah.
And I think few songs that I've heard do it better than this.
Yeah.
Like this song will not kick my ass.
No.
There are some songs that if I see them pop up for whatever reason, be it a daily mix or an AI shuffle or whatever, have to skip it. I'm like, this will bring tears.
Yep.
This will bring bad memories. This one doesn't bring happy memories, but it's a bop.
Yep.
You got to respect a bop.
You do. You pretty much summed it up perfectly. It's a very visceral feeling where you kind of sit there and you're like, this is making me sad for memories that aren't even mine.
Yeah.
It's making me walk around in shoes that I don't own, in a country that I've never been to, with a family that I could only hope to be related to or have the memories of what once was with. So you're very right there. And I think it all goes back to instrumentation for me. The guitars are sweet and like, they're not twangy. They like, I can't describe it. They are played with in such a way that they sound. I'm really, really showing the fact that I don't have notes for this song, and I'm very sorry. But basically, the strings on this song are complex and beautiful in their simplicity, because the effect that they put on them, I don't think they're doing a lot to them, but they make them sound like future guitars. It sounds like it's a future nostalgia. It's one day I will be thinking about this song and I'll think about the strumming of it and the finger plucking, and I'll be like, this is very specific, and it makes me want to listen to this song again. And the guy's voice is like low and sort of it's low and it sort of slides along, and it goes together so beautifully. And it's weird because it sounds so futuristic to me, but it's so classic in how indie it sounds. It's right in that direct interlude where it's like, this could have been made in 10 years, this could have been made 10 years ago. And it was released in 2016.
Yeah. It sounds very 2016. That's another thing. I don't know if that's just relative to us. It
sounds like elevated indie rock. It sounds like elevated indie rock.
It does. Sounds like.
Don't say it. Don't say it. So I'm going to move on.
Right. You stole that joke from me too many times.
I know. And
big thief.
Yeah. Fucking kill me. Jesus. This isn't fair because I read you the songs I'm going to use and you don't have to tell me which ones you're going to use, because I can't like get back at you with like these things. All right.
An awful thing.
So I don't have a great transition for this. This is an album that I got back into recently. It's an indie folk song from a Brooklyn indie folk outfit. It's turning into fall, you know. The air is going to hopefully start getting crisp again soon, you know. When it gets to fall time, I'm a big folk guy. I have 2 folkier songs this week. This is the first of those 2. This is from a 2016 debut record. It is the Adrian Lenker-led Big Thief with Paul.
The guitar was hot.
Oh my god,
the fucking hot guitar.
You get a different appreciation for how many like different guitar tones are being used in that song every time you listen to it. Because coming in, the main guitar tone I wanted to talk about with this is the one like towards the middle end where they're doing the instrumental interlude. The guitar that they play sounds like a fucking siren. It sounds like a siren or like a fucking animal or something. Like it sounds like an animal dying. It's fucking so rad. So, Adrian Lenker, who has music under her own name as well. This is from their 2016 debut masterpiece, Big Thief. Adrian Lenker being the lead singer and I believe main lyricist for. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna check a lot of the boxes that I've spoken about. I'm sure multiple times over the now 2 parentheses 3 question mark close parentheses podcast that we've done together.
This is the first third episode.
This is the first third episode. The first second one as well. No, it's the second one. Simple instrumentation, straightforward production, slight reverb, echoing, soft backing vocals, a bunch of different guitar tones layered on top of each other. Straightforward drum. I mean, this is you don't even really notice it. It's so simple.
No.
Lenker's voice is the perfect accompaniment to the guitar. Her tone changes a little bit, but a lot of the lines are just straight up hit the same. It's fashioned to feel very hypnotic in a way. Honestly, it's the same no matter what. When she gets back to the chorus, it's da 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 over and over, and her emotions ramp up in the verses and they come right back down. She gets real close to going rage, then she gets right back down, and it's awesome. It's awesome. Masterpiece is great. I didn't intend for half of my songs to be sad, 3/4 of them to be somber, either as a joke or serious, and one of them,
I think we're on the same page.
And one of them to be groovy. Just sort of the mood that hit me, I guess. It's awesome. It's awesome. Go listen to the record. What do you think?
It's beautiful. I mean,
yeah.
Mentioned the guitar already, but the instrumentation.
Woo! Yeah, buzzword. Take a shot every time you hear instrumentation in this podcast.
Yeah, Big Thief, because they stole my heart. I mean, I love, and we talked about this with both previous songs actually, but the echoiness of it,
mm-hmm.
the sort of longing,
yeah.
The coyote howling at the moon, the thief in the night, if you will, the big thief in the night, the Paul, if you will, but
the Paul. What?
But when I say Paul, I can think of as that fucking movie.
Oh yeah, watch that. I watched that last year.
It always fucks me up because I keep thinking it's an Edgar Wright because of the cast.
It's far worse.
I know. I've heard terrible things, but because of the dynamic duo there. But
yeah. Man of the Year 1 and Man of the Year 2, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Beautiful though.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful. It's got this sort of like when you're a kid, how you think grown-up music sounds. Does that make sense? It's like when I hear something like that, it's like I know these are guitars. I know these are people singing, but it seems so in a world of its own that I'm listening to it with ears that aren't tuned to experience what these people are experiencing, but I still feel the emotion from a contact high.
Yeah.
I used to get that as a kid. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I had nothing to really feel terribly guilty over. You know, the worst thing I ever did was like push somebody off a swing or, steal the middle squishy part of the bread loaf that my parents brought to the Italian gathering. But when I saw movies or heard certain types of music as a kid, I would feel grief. Yeah. I would feel longing. I would feel the heartbreak of a relationship I never had. And despite me being older and having experienced a lot of those heavy emotions, when I hear this song in particular, there's a longing for a heavy emotion I haven't experienced, but I'm still contacting here. Yeah. I'm not sure how better to explain that, but it was a really beautiful moment.
Yeah. It transcends mood to me. Not that you should listen to this when you're in like the best place in the world.
Yes.
But it really does transcend mood because you can find something different in it every time. It's like I said, it's the formula of the song really kind of, I would say, factors into the way you can enjoy it every time. Like all the lines are hit the same. It's fashioned to feel that way. Mm-hmm. The note I have written down, and I wrote this, and I don't know if it makes sense, but the note I have written down are the notes and the guitar go on their paths next to each other, and we will feel however we need to when hearing it, right? So when I listen to this right now, for me, this is rainy, foggy October night music. This is 55 degrees, October 17th, rainy, just got home from the gym, whatever.
Absolutely.
Music. This is that for me now. But I mean, shit, frankly, I could listen to this on the drive home and be like, I'll be, like getting along to it. And I'm like, I'm fine. I feel fine right now.
Yeah.
I feel fine. So it's great. Adrienne Lenker is one of this Mount Rushmore of depressing ass modern day folk music. I don't know if she's on the Mount Rushmore, but she's getting a monument of her own. It's great. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we've pretty much said all there is to say. It hits you in a way that you don't expect to be hit, and then you get hit by it, and you're like, yeah, hit me again. Yeah, go listen to Masterpiece by Big Thief. Go listen to more Big Thief. They had an album come out last year. New Dragon Warm Mountain, I Believe in You. Bit of a mouthful. Great record. Great record. Bit of a mouthful. Mouthful.
Cool. I'll check it out myself.
Here we go.
All right, kids, we're halfway through. This next one, left field.
Okay.
But it's a song that I was very big on when it came out, and then it slipped through the cracks for 6 years. And
6 years.
Now it's back. And I don't know why it's back. I don't know. Maybe there's a part of me that's having a quarter life crisis. And I'm like, man, I wish I was starting out college again.
Yep.
Or not that we started college 6 years ago, but for some reason this song screams young, dumb angst. And it sounds like young, dumb angst. And to the wrong ears in the wrong environment, I think it will go easily unappreciated.
Yep.
This is from a man who unfortunately died way too young.
Aw.
Way too young. Also has daddy tattooed across the navel. Has a anarchist A tattooed on his cheek. And is currently sleeping with a giant pillow Peep on this album cover. This is Little Peep with Awful Things. He was onto something, man. He was really onto something.
You know, that's only the second Lil Peep song I've ever heard.
That's criminal.
That is the second one I've heard.
What's the first?
I think it was a bonus track off one of his records. It was like Rain Falling Down. I think X is on it.
Yeah, that's a posthumous one.
I don't mind that song.
It's a good song,
but it's not this at all. Not even close.
No, this is I believe his last album before, or project. I don't know if it was an album or an EP, but his last project before he died.
Is this that emo rap that all the kids are talking about these days? Is this that? Yeah.
He was on something, man. I mean, look, lyrically, nothing killer.
Right.
Sonically, it's a simple guitar loop with a trap beat over it, but something about it. Like, I think it's his voice. I think it's the echo. Like the way that
reverb for those listening. Reverb.
Just the way that everything, all these simple things, he takes all these simple ingredients and the way they're just kind of jammed together in such an effective way. Like at this point, this is 2017, I believe. But at this point, emo rap, that whole genre has kind of made a lane of its own, and it's evolved into a whole different thing. But something about Lil Peep in particular, I think he just, not only was he a pioneer, but he did it best. I mean, he's got the voice for it. He's got the edge. It's almost less emo rap, more like grunge rap, you know? It's got that sort of Nirvana mystique to it, that sort of like dirty cigarette basement feel, but also like super catchy and groovy and really easy to listen to despite it being so dark and hectic. I mean, out of all the Lil Peep songs I've heard, this is definitely one of, if not like the loudest. Usually he's a pretty mellow dude. Usually it's pretty good like ride music, but this is probably the closest I've heard him make to like a banger.
Yep.
Banger.
Yep.
And it works, dude. It's so catchy. It's so catchy. Again, he's not saying anything crazy, but just like the bother me. Oh, dude, it's so infectious. I love it.
It's such an interesting movement because the movement of like rap through its phases, because it feels like every couple of years, every mainstream genre umbrella will produce another one, like another piece, like on the branch, right? Like, so to think about emo hip hop, which I mean, I would say that's one of the most teens genre of all time. That was such a 2016, 17, 18 genre boom. And people still are making it. People are still listening to it. But that's when it was like booming. And to think about it too, because this guy was born in 96. So the music he probably grew up listening to was like your Green Day, your The Offspring, your 3 Days Grace, maybe a little bit of Nirvana sprinkled in. So it's
Fall Out Boy, dare I say Fall Out Boy?
I would argue that's probably very big in there. It wouldn't be shocked if a lot of pop punk was in there. And it's interesting because you can hear it. And to think about the eventual way that all genres, if given this is my thing, right? I don't know how much emo rap I'm going to listen to in general in my life, but to see someone like Lil Peep who is willing to bend the lines and mingle everything together. I like shit like that. I think it's great when people are like, I'm just going to do something weird. I'm going to do something weird. And if people like it, they like it. And if they don't, they fucking don't. And I think it's great. It's another thing. It's creativity for creativity's sake. This is not cosmetically and let's say in a media ready term, this is not a cleaned up, buttoned up play on Good Morning America track. It's not. I mean, that's not a secret. I mean, this guy was not at his time of passing, which I just found out was 21, which way too young, as you said. He wasn't selling out MSG. He wasn't selling out the Garden. He was doing shows probably at like House of Blues, probably at like a Roadrunner, right? And cool. Those people need to exist, right? It's just interesting the way that different genres can inspire people to do different fucking things. Like, it's that same thing where like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, he said that his drumming was just straight up, what did he say? I think he said soul, R&B, and jazz drumming. He just straight up took it from soul drummers. That's his thing. And when you listen to Foo Fighters, that's not fucking soul drumming. When you listen to Nirvana, that's not soul. That's grunge. That's hard rock, whatever. So it's just interesting. I don't know. I also love on Genius how it says the intro is bother me, tell me awful things. I love it when you do that. Helps me get through this without you. And then it says the chorus, which is the same 3 lines said twice. Yeah. So I don't know why they didn't just bunch them together. I don't know why it's blocked out like that.
Well, I think at the beginning it's a little bit different. He's got a bit of a softer tone of voice.
Right.
But
it definitely fills you with a feeling. It's like you said. Yeah.
He's a vibe king.
Yeah.
He is a vibe king. I think what I find most appealing about him, and I was thinking about this as you were talking, when it comes to quote unquote emo rap, or like grunge rap, I feel like most people who attempt a genre like that, they go 60-40, 60 being rap. It's a rapper with a grunge sound.
Yeah.
I think the difference here is that Lil Peep is a grunge artist with a rap sound. It sounds very much like the guitars are the priority here. It sounds very much like the topic of a grungy song is the priority here, like toxic love, sort of like, I don't give a fuck, let's just do drugs, I hate you, but I love you. Like, that's the priority.
Yeah.
And the rap elements are being added to complement that.
Yeah.
And I think that's even his voice is a very grungy voice. It's very raspy. It's very reverbed. He has songs, he doesn't really rap too hard on this one, but he has songs where he's more rap heavy. And even then he's sing rapping. He's doing it in a grungy tone. And I think that's what's always appealed me about him. Is grunge first, rap second.
It's interesting too, because I'm wondering what like kids who are like 18 who are trying to make it into music now in a couple years, what is rap gonna look like? Do you know what I mean? Like what are these genre lines gonna look like? Yeah. And I'm very fascinated by that idea.
I would have it's so sad that he died so young.
Yeah, it is.
I think all he
because when he died, X died and Juice WRLD died. That's like a whole That's a whole little like corner of the there's a fly. Oh. There's like a whole little corner of like the rap world that was just like axed, gone. Because like who's like Lil Peep's place now? Like who is that?
Uzi. But again, that's like more,
I guess,
rap priority.
Yeah, it's rap. I would say that's like a trap sort of thing too. Like it's not. It's very interesting, and I'm wondering where. And it's sad to think about. It's really morbid, and this is with every artist. I wonder where he would have gone. I really do.
Yeah, imagine him on a, given the boost that some artists are given through features and stuff. Like imagine him on a Kanye record. Imagine him on a Travis Scott record.
I wonder if Kanye would have liked him. I wonder.
He worked with XXX at one point. So.
It's not style. I wonder where the place between emo heavy rap and whatever the artist formerly known as Kanye West does. I wonder. This is another Kanye reference. This is a weirdly Kanye backbone.
This is number 6 or 7.
This is weird. Whoa. He must be in the air somewhere.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, no. That's fuck shit. You're telling me. Yeah, it's better for me if he's not. All right.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. So, song 3. Bit of a change of pace. Pretty much completely in the opposite direction of where we've been. This is not. This is a soul R&B throwback SoCal song. This is a 2021 single. This with no great transition or segue because I didn't have time to think about that. This is Will I See You Again by The Sacred Souls.
What's with today in infectious guitar samples?
Dude,
Or not samples, but, instrumentation in general.
Dude.
Word of the day. Besides Kanye.
8. I think that put another coin in the jar. We said his name again.
Yeah.
I think that
coins.
I don't know. I just fucking I love soul R&B ass music, which is to say, I like soul and R&B music. I don't know why I had to say it like that. I would not say that I'm well versed. I would not say that I have a laundry list of my favorites, but this just hits for me. I mean, beautiful leading fucking vocals, this catchy ass tune, an active, and the word I wrote down is vivacious bass line. It's very lively.
Yes.
It's awesome. You need a good bass line to have a good soul song and a good R&B song. You fucking need it. Well, maybe not R&B, but soul for sure. You need it. Gorgeous soul guitar, like you said. The tones they use and like the way it all kind of blends together and shit, it sort of sounds like a dream.
It does.
Like it's a little bit dreamlike, and there's like a warm longing. And I also wrote that this is fucking music. Like this is sex music to me. I think this is a sexy ass song.
I don't know.
Oh, I think it's so sexy.
Instrumentally, I agree, but lyrically, I think it might be a little distracting. Will I see you again? Like, I don't want to be thinking about that when I'm. There was a pun in there somewhere, but I lost it.
Desperately, for some reason, I was under the impression you were going to say when I'm porking, and I don't know why I thought you were going to say that.
I was going to say something like, I don't want to be thinking about that when I'm digging in that, but I didn't like how that sounded.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
Really didn't like how that came out.
Yeah, gnarly. So it's good that you didn't say it and then said it on air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's great. I love it. It's a throwback song. This came out in 2021, but it's a throwback song. This feels like it could have come out in any decade between the 70s and now.
Oh, shit. This is 2021.
Is it 2021?
This sounds like those weird, obscure 70s, like you said, like the 70s vinyls that someone found in a basement. Now there's like on Spotify everywhere and shit.
I love it. I got to imagine these were all recorded and tracked separately, but it feels live. Like it feels like a live band. And it's so interesting. They blend together in such a way that, again, I don't know if this was recorded chamber style with everyone recording at the same time. It's possible that it was. I don't know. But it feels like it is. And that's enough for me. You feel like you're in the room with the band, which is another common thread. Excuse me. My first 3 songs, you feel like you're in the room. You feel like you're in the room watching them fucking perform. You're like at a coffee house. You stumble in off the street. It's like a hot summer night. You're like, I want a brew, whatever. I drink, clearly. You hobble into someplace and it's like, oh, who's this fucking playing? Oh shit, they're fucking killing a soul track that sounds like it's from 1974, and I'm like putting out a spliff on like someone's back.
Yeah,
it's sweet.
Yeah.
It's sweet. It's so fucking sweet.
It's beautiful.
It's so. Oh my god, you feel so cool. This is another thing. I love music that makes you feel cool because I'm so not a cool person. I feel fucking cool listening to this goddamn music. I feel so cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, someone was shaking their head out the window, and I don't know why.
We should get a curtain.
We should get a curtain.
We should get a curtain.
We also have thin walls here.
We do.
And you project.
Yeah, I know.
Not to embarrass you, I'm sorry. But we have a school committee meeting going on in the room next door.
Yeah, I know.
So right now,
I saw everyone gathering, and I felt bad. I was like, oh, they're going to hear me fucking.
I don't know if that's why they were shaking their head, but.
I'll talk in dulcet tones and get really close to the mic. I'll do my NPR voice for the rest of the way.
But yeah, beautiful song.
It's awesome. I fucking love this
Very
song.
sexy guitar, like you said. It sounds very like...
This is a single, by the way. This is a single they released.
Oh, really?
I think it's off of an album they released last year or this year, which I haven't listened to, but this is a single.
Strong single.
Yeah.
Strong single. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Anything else you want to say about it?
Josh Lane, be my friend and hang out with me. That's the lead singer. Nice. It's not a random guy named Josh.
Nice and desperate.
Yeah. Josh, I know you're listening. All right, we're on to track number 4. We're in the final stretch here, George.
Final stretch. We got one more from each of us. Mm-hmm. This is actually an obscure song from the 70s. I think it's from the 70s.
It's not a poser ass song like I just had.
Released on March 5th, 1970. I know a little bit about this guy, not a ton. The little bit I know is I think it was this guy. I want to say that he was a complete flop in the U.S. Or I want to say it's the U.S. But I think like some obscure country, like I want to say like South Africa or something, like caught on to his music somehow. Huh? What are you mouthing?
Okay, I was guessing who the artist is, but I don't know if you want me to guess it.
Go ahead.
Is it Rodriguez?
Yeah. Do you know that story?
I fucking love Rodriguez.
Okay, good.
Is it fucking? I'm not gonna say it because I want you to introduce.
Is it Sugar Man? Is that what you're gonna ask?
Yes!
Yeah, it is Sugar Man.
Sugar Man. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, is that the actual?
It's he caught on in like Australia or New Zealand or something.
Oh, was it New Zealand?
I think. Hold on. Let me keep talking. I'll look it up. Do your intro.
No,
I'll keep talking.
I mean, that's.
It might have been South Africa, Australia, New Zealand.
Okay,
yeah. So it's all.
Yeah.
He died recently.
He did.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I know he was huge there, and he found out like super late, like years after he quit, I think, and he went and performed there to like a massive crowd. But song bangs, man.
Have you seen the documentary?
No.
They talk all about it.
Oh, okay. That's probably where I heard it from. I think I was listening to a podcast and someone mentioned that documentary. But
filling dead air while he dies. Filling dead air. He was born in 1942. He's from Detroit. Filling dead air.
Oh my God! I just choked on my spit.
It happens all the time.
Oh Jesus, that was like a genuine choke too.
Yeah, there's like moments where you feel like you're dying.
Oh.
So do you want to keep introducing?
This is Sugar Man by Rodriguez. Golly gee, I wonder what that song's about.
Oh, dude, I love Sugar too. It's crazy that he's talking about it like this though.
I didn't know there was a Sugar Man.
Yeah,
what a time to be alive in
this
the 70s.
Is 2 weeks in a row talking about a drug dealer.
Yeah,
2 weeks in a row.
Oh shit.
Oh my God.
3 weeks in a row talking about weird people experimenting with weird drugs, making weird music from it.
Oh my God.
Speaking of weird, I'm looking at. Oh, there goes the song again. I had to rewind.
I'm down to listen to it again if you want.
Well, I'm looking at the album cover here, and it shows. I'm assuming that's Mr. Rodriguez himself.
It is.
The way he's sitting cross-legged, the pattern of his pants is creating almost this like consuming spiral that forces your eye right into his crotch. And it's so funny. It's like that's the epicenter of this pattern. You see what I mean?
It's a fascinating album cover. First of all, his outfit is purple. It's like a purple on his shirt. He's wearing a brown cowboy hat. He's sitting cross-legged with Schwami slides. He's got the blue striped pants, and then below
nasty farmer's tan too.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And then below there appears to be random buildings with the word drug written vertically.
Is that what this is about?
I fucking love Sugar Man. I was listening to this song and I was filled again with the joy that I got the first time I heard it, where I was like, dude, what the fuck is this and why does it work so well?
So this brings up a point of mine, right? Yeah. Or not a point, a question rather.
Sure.
2 questions. One, how did they do Photoshop back then? This isn't the time or place to ask a question like this, but how do you make an album cover this weird? Especially if he wasn't popular, right?
No.
At least not to his face.
He had a promoter and I think a record label that really thought he was gonna like connect.
Yeah. Okay. That answers my second question, because my second question was going to be, if you're someone who is not already into some sort of money or with some sort of following, how do you like even get the budget to produce something this weird? Especially back then. Right. I mean, nowadays you can use a soundboard, but back then,
back then, $20 was $1,000. This is 1970.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember the story. I don't remember the story for sure. Again, dogs watching cars out the window. Like we're very easily distracted. I don't remember the story exactly, but more or less he was a guy who would just sort of play guitar at theme of the episode, open mic coffee house type things. He would just play music talking about his experiences. And apparently these record label guys or these music promoter guys or whatever, they went into a bar. It was like a dimly lit, smoke-filled Detroit, Michigan bar. And they heard a voice. And the way they describe it, I don't remember it specifically the way they describe it, but I remember being really affected by it. Where imagine you're in a dark room full of fog, you don't know which way you're going, and you hear what can only amount to a middle American crooning male siren.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what Rodriguez is. This song itself, it literally sounds like you're walking. It sounds like that. It sounds like you're walking through fog or you're walking on the streets and you hear someone singing the most depressing song you've ever heard and you don't know what the fuck he's saying. But you're like, I get it. I get it. Because I've never purchased sugar from any man delivering. I don't know if he means like if he means like sugar or if he means like baking sugar. I don't know what he means. But I don't know. It fills you with that. You can feel his like his history, his story in his music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes me wonder. I don't know much about Rodriguez himself. Maybe you know a thing or two from that documentary. I don't know if he was a drug guy. I mean, he seems like a drug guy.
I don't think he was ever super into it, but he was definitely around it.
Because what this song to me almost screams like it sounds like he is psychedelic rock's Johnny Cash.
That's an interesting comparison.
Like this, it seems like fuck. I'm blanking on the name of that prison.
Folsom Prison.
Like he has a song about someone who killed a man and regrets it. Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to think. I love Johnny Cash. I'm trying to think.
And like a lot of his songs are like that, where they're like these stories or these character studies of these moments or these desperate people, and that's exactly what this feels like. Except instead of it being country, it's psychedelic, and it like funny thing to say because most psychedelic rock deals with drugs, but I love it when the content of a song mixes so well with the sound of it, especially when it comes to something psychedelic like this.
Yep.
Like that little, I don't even know what you call it, that slide.
I think that was I think that might have been a theremin.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck that is, but I'll take your word for it. It's like...
There's so many instruments in this song, by the way.
There's so many.
You can find a new one every time.
It sounds like a drug trip, obviously.
It does.
But at the same time, his voice has that desperation that's so human, and it's such a human singing.
Yeah.
And it's a weird juxtaposition having something so inhuman, be it these stimulants, these unnatural, well, I guess technically natural, but you know what I mean, non-standard brain reactions, non-standard patterns, and elevated states of listening and consciousness combined with such a down-to-earth human story. You know, he's not the first to do it. He's not the last to do it, but he does it really fucking well.
He does.
You know?
So, and not for nothing, I think the Johnny Cash song you're talking about, though he does have several, I think you might be talking about Folsom Prison Blues.
Yes.
Where he's talking about, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
So
I mean, the whole point...
That album was great, too, speaking of.
Well, like he sang that live to a prison, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And
he had several concerts like that.
From what I heard, like those songs are comforting to prisoners.
You can hear them screaming. It's an amazing recording. Yeah. You hear them, first of all, you hear them screaming, not to get off Rodriguez. No, you hear prisoners screaming, and you hear bailiffs, not bailiffs, like jail supervisors, wardens. Thank you, wardens. You hear wardens making announcements like I don't even know, like a blank whatever number or last name. You have letters in whatever. Like it's unlike anything else. There's a point where Johnny Cash asks for water, like just asks for water from like wardens and shit. And I don't know. That's an entirely different experience. But I see what you're saying. You really feel like you're just sitting in the room with him, and he takes you on this trip, and his voice doesn't sound... I'm so bad at characterizing voices because the best compliment I can give to a voice is that no one else could sing this song.
Exactly.
But I mean it very earnestly. This and My Last Artist, when we get into him, this is very much... I don't know how to explain this. I can think of several people who can probably hit every note that Rodriguez is hitting, but they don't hit the notes the way Rodriguez can. There's an earnestness there. There is a very interesting dynamic there. And it's so fascinating. And when the horns come in, come in on Jumper's Coke, and it's like bum bum bam bum 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 bam bum. Oh my God. Like electricity through my fucking body when I hear that fucking song. I cannot express to you in words. I just need to express in if I could do interpretive dance on camera, I would do that for you. But I need you to just, George, you can convey what I'm looking. I'm going to look at you, and this is my reaction to seeing the song, and you try to describe it, okay?
Shoot, brother. Fists forward. Arch.
Just describe what I was doing.
That's what you asked.
No, the emotions that it evokes. What you think, where I'm like...
Oh God, the first word I'm seeing is constipation.
Okay, so I did take a shit today, so it's not that. But in general, it's an otherworldly feeling. It really is. It's very, I don't know. It's I love Rodriguez. I love this song. It's great.
He's got a perfect voice for the quality of this microphone. Something about the timbre of his voice and the way he stretches his words mixes perfectly with this sort of like lo-fi grain that it has to sound very similar to Stan Hubbs from the alleged demo episode. It's just this. It's a time and place thing.
Yeah.
Right time, right place, right guy, right voice, right microphone. It is exactly what I want. I feel like this song would sound better coming out of a record player in another room.
I could see
you know
that.
what I mean?
I could see that. Yeah.
It's like how Mr. Brightside sounds better from behind a school bathroom door. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that song sounds amazing when you're at prom puking in the toilet, as it does, or better than it does when you're just listening to it with headphones in.
No,
same thing with this. I would love to hear this at like a hookah lounge,
like
blaring from the manager's office or something.
You bring up a good point. This is Alice in Wonderland music, baby.
Exactly.
This is Alice in Wonderland music, baby. Absolutely.
All
right. So
now that I've got the hookah in me, tell me.
Speaking
I want wind to blow.
Speaking of singular artists and.
That was such a bad stretch.
I was about to give such a heartfelt intro to the song too.
I'm ready.
So I'm glad I got the last word on this podcast because
I'm very persistent about it.
This is I knew what I wanted and I
fucked up the order of the Spotify playlist.
And I acted upon it too, and I don't care. So this is another one of my favorite bands. This is a top 5 record of all time for me. This is I think the term masterpiece gets thrown around at art very frequently and to the point that it sort of has lost a little bit of its meaning. This is about as close to a masterpiece as I have ever heard a record get. This is a lo-fi, indie, noise, psychedelic, neo-folk masterpiece out of Olympia, Washington, a one-man mad genius, a Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster all rolled up into one man. My friends, from the 2001 lo-fi masterpiece, The Glow Part 2, this is I Want Wind to Blow by the Microphones.
I was not expecting it to just end like that. I wasn't ready.
It's meant to transition immediately into the second song. That's the opening.
Okay.
So before we get into it, I want to say real quick, when I was listening to this, I'm jamming to it, and George seems to be sort of assessing it, which I get. I'm not judging him. It's just I'm jamming, and George is like looking at the song, and I'm sure maybe he's reading lyrics or whatever, and he seems to really be like trying to unpack it. And good, I'm so glad. But I'm sitting there, and the first thing I want to say right off the bat is emphasis on avant-garde, emphasis on psychedelic neo-folk, avant-garde, lo-fi. We're talking lo-fi.
The lowest. Deep fi, if you will.
Experimental. So this is the Olympia, Washington-based music project, I believe now defunct, I think, of mad genius.
Died in a car crash?
No, he's alive.
All right.
Saw him in concert last year, 2 years ago. Best concert I've been to, probably. He played one 45-minute song, and they put the guitars really close to the amps for about a 2-minute period, and the noise it made, it was in an old-fashioned sit-down theater. It was in the Somerville Theater. And the noise it made, the vibrations, you felt as though there was an animal. You were inside an animal, and I felt like my heart was about to stop. And I was sitting there, and I don't know. It was transcendental. It felt like all of us were sitting inside a giant malevolent beast about to die, and we were just stuck there with the noise of it, right? So you already brought attention to the noise and the blown out sound. So I made some notes on the recording of this. So the record was made combining elements of folk, which you probably caught in the guitar, noise rock, ambient, black metal, and avant-garde, amongst others, as I said. He made the record pretty much alone. Some people came in and assisted with vocals. There was an interview with one assisting artist who said that she just felt like he was on to something. Like there was something cooking. Like she knew it was going to be loved. By the way, picking a song from this record was like choosing my favorite child. There's so many songs I wanted to pick. He recorded mostly early in the morning, writing lyrics alongside the music as he went. He created distortion by running the guitar through the mic input on a cheapo cassette deck and then out the headphone jack into the amp. He distorted the drums by raising the mic volumes and using compressors, so they all sound like deafened, but like really loud, right? Like it sounds like someone's punching a wall next to you, almost like on the other side. He multi-tracked the drums too, so each drum in the drum set is recorded on a different track, so you can modulate them individually. Yeah, I struggled to pick a song from this record because I love so many of them. This one just shows everything that I love. There's beautiful guitar riffs that are just a little bit off. Phil having a perfect voice for this. It's cohesive, and then it just breaks down, and then it's just a free for all.
It's a journey.
It is the full domination of the id. It is the silent. No, I'm serious. It is the silent, chaotic part of your brain just going fucking crazy, and you feel exactly how he wants you to feel listening to this record. Me back to my NPR voice because I just got loud. Yeah.
No, that was a journey. I don't say that lately. I mean, you have a theme this week.
I do.
Yeah, all of your songs are these longing, emotional guitar. Like,
yeah.
But I'm glad that you ended with this one, because this one felt like ascendance. It's not the word I was thinking of, but it's the word I'm going to stick with. It sounds like we are wandering through the woods of nostalgia. We're walking down a path of reminiscence, and we're feeling sorry for ourselves, but we're still watching our feet, one foot in front of the other. And then we take one step out into this fresh grass, and we watch our fucking beat up vans get swallowed by this overgrown weed, and we look up, and there's this huge expansive coast in front of us with a beautiful sunset going down. That's what that drum broke. I wanted to say drum break, but I used the past tense.
It was a drum that broke. It's true.
I think the drum break kind of emphasized that.
Yeah.
Not to get all flowery on you.
No, I like it.
But
yeah. So this is first of all, what I love about this song is that it's so cathartic. The breakdown at the end feels like you've really arrived at something, right? And do you want to know the funniest part about this song, George?
Yeah.
Do you want to know the funniest part? This is the intro to the album.
Yeah, that's a good fucking intro.
This is where it starts. Please, I'm going to say this now, and I promise I will try my best not to accent the point, because I understand this is in my top 5, and it's very much going to be an acquired taste for a lot of people, whoever's listening to this, all 6, 7, 5, 4 of you. I'll say this even to you directly across the table from you, my friend. I think I've tried to get you onto this before. I am begging you, listen to this album front to back in its entirety. Please. This is
this is a part 2, correct?
I don't think there is technically a Glow Part 1.
Why is it called Part 2?
So the record sort of deals with the aftermath of a relationship. So it's a relationship ending. So the part the part 2 is meant to be the life after the first glow. It's meant to be the life after, I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess.
Is it the glow within yourself? Is that the second glow?
It sounds very religious when you say it like that, but it might be.
Well, not religious, but like in the self-love sense.
Yeah. It might be. I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
that's an interpretation.
That ties right into what I was saying with the, you're kind of walking through a wood after the fact of something, and then you arrive at a destination that sparks a new beginning.
A lot of his songs sound like that. He has a whole section in The Microphones in 2020, which is one 45-minute long song. Thank you very much. He has moments in that where he talks about how early in his career as a creative, he would drive out to the beach, and he's from the PNW. And to be honest with you, one of my notes here, this album, it sounds like you're in a rainy attic in the Pacific Northwest.
It does.
It really does. It sounds like Washington. It sounds like what I imagine Washington to be, I should say. But he talks about it, how he would spend some time and he'd be like, I know that I want to be a creative, and I know that that's how I want to express myself. I need to find a way to sort of create a world that is deeper than I'm sad, here's this. I'm beyond writing about love in the conventional sense. I want to compare it to something. So he uses nature, and he uses he uses nature imagery, and to me, the way he uses it makes you appreciate nature in a way that you couldn't have before. He opens your eyes to something in my mind. There is nothing that sounds like the microphones to me. They're a trailblazer for so many different things, and yet nobody sounds like the microphones. It is one of the few. This record is one of the few that I sat through, and it legitimately made me cry.
Oh.
And it didn't make me cry because it's sad per se. It made me cry because of it feels as though it's bigger than everything I had ever experienced. I have a top 5 of records, and this is unlike anything else in that top 5. Everything else is relatively, I wouldn't say conventional, but I would say it doesn't challenge me the way this one does. Because this at times is a challenging record. You can hear it at the end. That drum breakdown is not going to be for everyone. That time where the mics explode and all you want is this song to fucking end. It's not going to appeal to everyone, and I get it. It's a perfect vibe. The lyrics are sparse enough to get people to lean in. You know what I mean? They lean in and they go, what is he talking about, right? You can listen very closely to every element on display, and they're all imperfect. They are all little pieces of the same imperfect whole. I'm trying to explain. It's like if you were to break down this big piece of art that's made up of little dots. You can pick out a little section of it and you're like, yeah, that's just dots. And then you look over a different section and you're like, yeah, it's just little dots. And then another and another and another. And then you step back about 10 feet and you look at the whole piece and you're like, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. How did I not see that before? All these little things, these little imperfections, these little spaces in between spaces, in between spaces. And they all make up this whole. And I am forever changed because I heard all of them individually. I listened to them. I tried to see what they meant to me. And now I can see this whole piece as a whole. This is the Glow Part 2. And this, to me, is about as close as you can get to a masterpiece in a record, if it's not already a masterpiece. Nothing does it to me like the microphones do. Nothing.
Golf clapping because I don't want to clap into the
microphone. I've heard. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It's awesome. I mean, fuck. And it's so fucking weird. It's such a weird record. That's so great.
I was very impressed by that song. I feel like, in my experience, songs that simulate a journey and also try to simulate a destination, especially when it comes to like a big cathartic emotional release, it's very hard to do that well.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a word I don't like using, but it's hard to pull off such a thing without sounding corny.
Yeah. No, that's true.
It's because a lot of time, like I've heard plenty of songs where it's a journey, especially like a more subtle, nuanced, low-key journey, typically sad, typically lost and confused, and then they try to emulate this release, and it's so hard to do a release without it sounding forced. You really have to do a good job of luring the listener in, and then the release has to be tonally consistent with everything beforehand, but also powerful enough to feel like you're in a new chapter, right? And I've heard way too many songs that lure you in with a low-key first half. Sometimes rap songs too even do this, where it's like a slow, moody first half. You're like, oh, this is a really nice little vibe. Like, I'm feeling comforted by this. This is a lullaby for me. And then it explodes in the second half, or it explodes at the end. And most of the time, I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Either like it sounds like we're suddenly in a religious sermon where someone's preaching like, feel better, feel better, feel better, feel better at you. Or it's like, all right, you killed the song because the feeling that I got from the first half is gone. And now I have to skip this song when I reach that second half. This was probably one of, if not the most perfect implementation I've seen of that sort of release. I'm very glad you showed it to me because that was beautiful.
When you take a step away from the little bubbles that we create for ourselves, where you see these like intimate friend groups who all have not the same interests, but they're all aware of each other's interests. You know what I mean? When you take a step outside that bubble, and I consider you and I to be close friends, but I don't think we, Jesus, I think our friend groups are very much like Venn diagrams. Like, some people in my greater overall friend circle who I'm not always super close with, and you're not always super close with, but whatever. We operate in similar circles is what I'm saying. And you and I obviously are close friends individually. In my friend group, my one back home that you are not, that you haven't met, a lot of them preach this as the gospel. So it's very much fallen I wouldn't say it's fallen to parody. I would say it's well known where we all stand on this record, on this person, on this feeling, on these emotions, all that. So what I love doing is I love pounding on the walls and screaming to the rooftops to my friends who are into music and love the idea of experimental music and experimenting and getting outside the box, such as yourself, and being like, yo, this is a life-changing experience and I want you to walk down this road with me. Again, I sort of run out of words to say. It's that thing where, like, it's that quote, and I'm trying to remember what it's from. I think it legitimately might be I think it might be a Pride and Prejudice quote. I don't remember. It's or it might be Atonement, or it's one of those. It's the one with Keira Knightley, and it's Mr. Darcy and shit. I think I don't remember what that's called, but it's that thing of, sorry if, by the way, my voice being so close to this microphone, I'm trying not to scream. There's a meeting going nearby. So if I loved this album less, I could talk about it more. If I had just a little bit less, everything I say to you right now is going to be tinged with that first time listening to it and just staring at my ceiling and going, holy fuck, music can be whole body experience. Music can be anything the person making it wants it to be. And I understand that that's a very huge statement. And I understand, again, that this is just going to bounce off some people because it is. I cannot express to you how weird this fucking record is. It's so fucking weird.
It's a weird record.
It's a weirdo. But, I mean, fuck, the album cover itself isn't formatted correctly. There's like white lines at the end of the album where the image ends. Like, it's so great. It's the album opens vertically instead of horizontally. It opens like that. It doesn't open like this.
Oh, the physical album?
Yeah, the physical album. I have it on my wall. It opens like this. It doesn't open like this. Like, it opens like a latch, not like a door. Mm-hmm. It is a singular experience. I hope everyone can one day have it, because you just stare off in the middle distance, and then you're thinking about everything that once was, and then you're crying, and you're like, why am I crying? And then you're trying to decipher the lyrics, and you're like, what does that mean to me? What does that mean? And then you get to the end, and you're like, I don't know what I just got, but I got it. I feel it, and I don't know. I'm running out of things to say about it. I love it so much. I love it. It is the perfect combination of a bunch of things that shouldn't go together, and then they do, and they're just perfect. It is perfect to me. So yeah, not to put too fine a point on it. I fucking love it. I love that record. I love it. I love Phil Elverum. I saw it, like I said, I saw it in concert. Thought I was about to have a heart attack in the best way. We walked in, and Phil Elverum, the guy, he was just out front. He was like, before the show started, before the opener, before anything, 2.5 hours before, he was just out front at a table. He was just selling his own merch, and he was signing shit. This is a concert he is headlining. Granted, at a sit-down theater probably houses about 250, 300. Maybe.
Somerville's a good theater too. That's a really nice. I saw Stephen King there.
Cool ass place to see him.
Yeah.
Cool place.
He was there with his son, Joe Hill.
Yeah, Prince King.
Sorry,
that's not the point. So that's on me. So
I like seeing authors live.
So
go on.
So yeah, it was singular. He's something else. It is. If you find it in your heart on this day, if I can lure you over to so I can preach my words at you real quick, I want everyone to hear the words of Phil Elverum and just understand that he has a love for you, that it is without beginning and without end. And once you find that wave, my friend, you are on it until the pearly gates.
Yes, Father.
Yes, Father. So it's the worst accent of all time. It changed 3 times. So yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about it? I think I've pretty much talked your ear off on this one.
Don't know how I can one up that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave it as is. But yeah. So
that brings us to the conclusion of Sleeper Suplex, the sophomore slump.
This is the end.
My fellow friends, the end.
Sleeper.
Suplex. Sleeper Suplex. Sleeper Suplex.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Woo!
Oh, follow the Sleeper Suplex Spotify playlist. We gain nothing from it.
Except the acknowledgement that you're out there.
Except the acknowledgement that we can't even see who did it.
No, we can't.
It's just a number.
I want them to change that.
I would love
I'm nosy. I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Thanks for listening to our dulcet tones. We hope we didn't annoy you too much with this one.
I think this is the best episode yet. If I can be so egotistical on air here, I'm feeling good about this.
Ego's testicle. Can we close it on that
Goodbye.
joke? Yeah.